Hi guys, welcome back to another video. My name's Callum, as you probably already know that. But anyways, happy World Book Day. Today I'm going to show my Thomas the Tank Engine / Railway Series book collection. And yes, that's a Fruit Shoot bottle. Oh, there's two of them. I'll be saving them for later. Yum. Now, anyways, I'm going to start from the very beginning. So first, we'll start with the Railway series. I have all the original books by Wilbert Awdry. I don't have any Christopher ones. This is the complete first 26 books. These are the 2018 re-releases. But I will go over them, have a look at them with you, and we'll have a look at each of them, and I'll tell you when they were originally released. As you notice, basically they have the same colour outside, and they all have a TV show image of Thomas. And basically they all have the same as the original releases, except the first two, as you know, because of Dalby's illustrations. And they also have the Hit Entertainment logo there. So that was The Three Railway Engines, which was first published in 1945. Thomas the Tank Engine from 1946. James the Red Engine from 1948. Tank Engine Thomas again from 1949. Troublesome Engines from 1950. Henry the Green Engine from 1951. As you noticed, the 2018 release has this image from the Three Railway Engines. Look, same image. When originally it had an image of Henry. Let me just show it. From the Flying Kipper, it had that image. They've changed it. Anyways, moving on. Toby the Tram Engine from 1952. Gordon the Big Engine from 1953. Edward the Blue Engine from 1954. Four Little Engines, the first narrow gauge railway book from 1955. That was 10 years for the Railway series. Percy the Small Engine from 1956, which was the last to be illustrated by Clarence Reginald Dalby. The Eight Famous Engines from 1957. It's the first one to be illustrated by John T. Kenny. Duck and the Diesel Engine from 1958. The Little Old Engine from 1959. The Twin Engines from 1960. Branch Line Engines from 1961. Gallant Old Engine from 1962, the final book to be illustrated by John T. Kenny, because I believe he was going blind. Stepney the Bluebell engine from 1963. The first to be illustrated by Mr. and Mrs. Edwards. Mr. Edwards would have taken over after this because it was his wife that did this one. And basically he did the rest until Wilbert retired. Mountain engines from 1964. It has the Coldy Fell engines, which really should have been in the show, I feel, by the way. Very Old Engines from 1965. This marks 10 years of the narrow gauge engines and 20 years of the actual railway series itself. Mainline engines from 1966. 1966. Oh, look at that, busted traction tyre. Throw that away. Never overlook the small railway engines. Published in 1967. Yep, I only sang that because Rex, Bert and Mike are in this one. And they appeared in Soddle's I Don't Know the Lost Treasure. Enterprise and Engines from 1968. Notification. Oliver the Western Engine from 1969. Duke the Lost Engine from 1970. And finally, Tramway Engines from 1972. This was the final book before Christopher Awdry took over, and it's also the last to be illustrated by Mr. and Mrs. Peter Edwards. So that is my Railway Series books. Now I'll move on to my Thomas and Friends ones. We'll start with this one. Thomas's Big Book of Words. It was written by Christopher Awdry and illustrated by Ken Scott. It's basically about these two kids, Polly and Ben. They lose their bucket and stayed at the beach, and the whole story they're trying to find it. And eventually Thomas's driver finds it at the end. It basically had words like Thomas, buffer, track, bird, tree, windmill. It's a book from my childhood. It was first published in 1991. This is a re-release from 1995. I'll just quickly go through the pages. Shows different engines because there's also an error. Look, there's Gordon, which I think Ken Scott did a really good illustration for Gordon, I feel. There's the Fat Controller and Henry. Here's the error. That's not Thomas. It says it's Thomas the Tank Engine, but that is Edward, because as you can see, he's a smiley face, tall funnel, blue and red paint, rail line. Look at that. See, that's Edward. I'll just try and see if I can find the Thomas illustration. There's Bertie, Toby. Look, here's Thomas. Here's Thomas. Now, if we look at Thomas's illustration, that's the head bit on him. Look. There we go. And I don't know why that says carriage. That's Annie. Because in this illustration, look, it says Annie. She's one of Thomas's two coaches. And there is the watermill. I don't know why someone's rowing their boat near the river and the watermill. I don't know why Thomas is this colour blue. There's another Thomas illustration. And the signal box. There we go, there's the bucket and spade. Look, there's Percy! So, that was that, and we'll move on to the next book. The next one is another Christopher Awdry book. It's Thomas's Big Busy Book. Again, by Christopher Awdry and Ken Scott for illustrating. And here are the engines. Thomas, Gordon, Toby, Percy, Duck, Henry, James, and Edward. It's basically questions and trying to get little children to guess what's happened. For example, look at this. Which engine's carrying a tall giraffe? It's James. It's basically one of them. It's for little kids. Let's have a look at this. On the move, there's an ambulance. A tractor, that's actually Terence. Bus, that is Bertie. There's a van, a car, a lorry, and a motorbike. And a bicycle. On the farm, there's cow, horse, pig, sheep, chicken, a farmer, dog, and a cat. And there's more of that. And we have a look at weather. There's wind, storm, snow, rain, sun, and ice. And there's, oh, look at, that's a good illustration of Henry. Why is the fat controller sack grey? It should be black. Must have been an illustration now. As you can see, a long time ago, I tried to draw the steam coming out of the engine's funnels. It was first released in 1994. This is the 1997 re-release. Next we have Thomas and the Big Race sound book, based on the episode Thomas and Bertie from season 1. Has a sound button which still works. I'll give you a close-up sound. There you go. It's a My First Thomas style book. That's a really good face for Thomas. I like that illustration. Some of the illustrations in this book are actually quite nice. Again, another good Thomas illustration. Another one. And then we have a look. It was first published in 2000. This is the 2010 re-release by Egmont Entertainment. I believe it's illustrated by Robert Davis, who illustrated the Story Library books. Speaking of the Story Library books, here they are. I have the Ultimate Collection Thomas Story Library Engine Shed. There's 65 books. It runs from Thomas all the way up to Charlie. One of them is a re-release, one of these books. I got it from Drayton Manor. But anyways, this was published in 2011. Just get the books out. Here are the boxes. It has a design for Thomas. Here's the front of him, and here's the other side. And here's James. Now here are the books. We have Thomas, James, Donald and Douglas, Toby, Bulgy, Elizabeth, Cranky, Terence, Scarloey, Mavis, Percy, Bill and Ben, Sir Handel, Oliver, Bulstrode, Gordon, Edward, Duncan, with a new promo image. I actually like the original version. This feels a bit off, I think. Salty, Stepney, Duck, Henry, Harold, Peter Sam, Emily, Trevor, Bertie, Diesel, Daisy, Spencer, Harry and Bert, George, Annie and Clarabelle, Rheneas, Fergus, Mighty Mac, Harvey, Rusty, Molly, Arthur, Caroline, Murdoch, Neville, Freddie, Rocky, Rosie, Dennis, Alfie, the Fat Controller, Jeremy, Hector, Boko, Billy, With, Stanley, Flora, Colin, Hank, Marge, Hero, Kevin, Victor, the Troublesome Trucks, and Charlie. So basically, on the back they have an advert on all of them, and they cost £2.99 when they were new. Yep, they were all published in 2011. But surprisingly, I have to show you something. If I can get Charlie back in. Troublesome Trucks is a re-release. I bought it at Thomas Land at Drayton Manor. This is the release from 2015. It's a 4-year difference. If the camera focuses. There we go, 2015. I put all of them away because we have another story library book which is separate from the rest. It's the Snowy Surprise. This is the one from my childhood. It's the oldest one I've actually got. It was published in 2013. And I like the background, it's snowy. And on the back in here, and there's an advert for You and the Birthday Surprise and You and the Christmas Rescue. These are custom ones. You can customize them for your own child. So if you had a kid and he was called Jimmy, you would put Jimmy and the Birthday Surprise and Jimmy and the Christmas Rescue. They're really cool. I really wish there was one of me. on the back it's got a little bit different. It doesn't advertise any, just has the description. And finally, we have Thomas the Tank Engine, Happy Birthday. It's basically about Thomas having a birthday party or something like that. And the book doesn't want to open. It was published in 2020, even though it was first published in 2019. I think it was republished for the 75th anniversary. The back is very similar to the Story Library books. That's just a quick look through the pages. So that's that, and that is my Thomas and Friends / Railway series book collection. Happy birthday! Not birthday. I was thinking of the I was still thinking of this one. What I meant to say was Happy World Book Day and good night. Bye.